Paper manufacturing has always been one of the greatest export products of Sweden. For hundreds of years, the Swedish forests have provided the raw material for this historical exporting success. The production of paper by hand is still alive in one place of our country. In this report, we shall visit Lessebo hand paper manufacturers in Småland, where this method is still being used exclusively. The old craft of making paper by hand has been followed in Lessebo since 1693. It is the only place in Sweden where this old craft is still in operation. The paper is made today in the same way it was made 300 years ago. The old method of manufacture can be clearly seen on the premises at Lessebo. Cotton pulp, which is manufactured from the shells of cotton seed, is ground in this vat. Afterwards, the fibers are left to swell until the pulp has reached the desired consistency. When the pulp is considered to be ready, it is put through a sand table, which takes up sand and other impurities which may be present in the pulp. The pulp is then ready for the making of paper. There is always a watermark in handmade paper, and this is created by shaping the desired motif from a wire, which is then fastened to a mold. The process of making the paper demands great professional skill. The mold is dipped into a vat, and just the right amount of pulp is taken up. The mold is shaken so that the pulp is evenly spread over the surface. The size and form of the sheet of paper can be controlled with the help of the wooden frame. The sheet of pulp is then carefully placed on a filter to dry. The finished pile of paper and filters are pressed hydraulically so that any water remaining is pressed out. Over the years, many visitors have had the chance to try their hand at making a few sheets of paper. Here we see a member of the Swedish Parliament who has just created his first sheet of paper. The finished but still damp paper is separated from the filter so that it can be weighed and then transported to the drying machine.
This is the drying machine which was introduced into the mill in 1922. It consists of two cylinders which are heated with steam up to about 80 degrees centigrade, and the paper is placed, as you see, onto a revolving felt, and the paper is then pressed hard against the cylinders. It goes under one cylinder, up behind bands, over the top cylinder, and then drops out at the back, dried. And this paper that we're drying today is watercolor paper, and after the drying process is completely ready.
Finally, the paper is cut and folded by hand to the required size. The handmade paper is now ready to leave the premises, where it will remind us in many different ways of the survival of a fascinating craft from the end of the 17th century.